I never finished school. So I left school at the age of 16 and became a police cadet. After 24 years in the police force, you'd expect me to go into, I'm not sure what people would expect. We went into the beauty industry. So I had 6 beauty salons and day spas.
What are the top 3 tips of skincare for men?
I think moisturise, and moisturise. Try not to drink too much alcohol and drink plenty of water. Men age differently from women. Women maintain their beauty much longer than men tend to do.
The population is aging very fast, and there's a large chunk of population aging.
Social isolation is what kills people in the end, I think. People feel lost and they don't feel like their life is secure anymore.
What are the things you believe in as a leader, and what's the style you always lean on to while interacting with people at all levels?
The most powerful thing for me is, have an opinion, make tough decisions, don't bend the knee.
How do you inculcate that, the value of community building?
I'm going to say something controversial.
Please do.
I hope that there is a time in my lifetime that we can stop talking about multiculturalism and I can...
Before we get started, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode of our cutting-edge contemporary conversations. Thank you. Welcome, His Worship, Mayor Patrick Hall. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for your time today. And it's great pleasure and honor to sit with you and have this conversation today. Before we delve into very specific questions, I would like you to give a bit of a brief intro who you are and then a bit of your story.
Well, I'm the Mayor of the City of Canning. The City of Canning is one of Western Australia's, probably one of its largest councils, a bit of an economic powerhouse. And I've been the Mayor since 2019. So first elected to council as a councillor in 2015. I did an apprenticeship, I believe, for about 4 years. And then when I felt that I was ready to run for the top job, I did, and was lucky enough to win the role in 2019. So I'm well into my second term, and my term expires at the end of next year, and then I'll be running again.
You have, as a young man, what were your thoughts in terms of getting into serving your community, in terms of being a mayor one day? Was that build up from as a young person, or did it evolve naturally as you did apprentice?
Never, and I think sometimes with leadership, the best leaders are those that find their way organically. So I was a police officer. I never finished school. So I left school at the age of 16 and became a police cadet. I earned a role as a police cadet, and myself and 3 of my classmates became police cadets at the age of 17. And then I turned 19, went into the police academy as a 19-year-old. And I remained in the police force for the next 24 years. So after I had done, I guess that's 24 years of serving the community on the front line of policing, you learn an awful lot about people in that role. I had the opportunity just through my role. I was talking to homeless people one morning. The same day I'm talking to barons of business or doctors. So you get an opportunity to be able to speak to people from all walks of life and relate to people from all walks of life. And I think that's really important for people, especially in leadership, because we've got 115,000 residents from all walks of life. And I have to be relatable. I must be able to connect with those people. Otherwise, there's absolutely no point to it. So after I had been in the police force for a very long time, my wife and I ran a relatively successful group of retail stores. So we had 6 big stores in major shopping centres: Westfield Carousel, Midland Gate, Belmont Forum, the Mez in Mount Hawthorn, the Phoenix Centre over in Spearwood, and a big store in Rockingham City Shopping Centre. We had about 35 staff and managers, and we bought a big warehouse in Burragoon, and we imported products from Frankfurt in Germany and also Catania in Sicily. So after 24 years in the police force, you'd expect me to go into, I'm not sure what people would expect. We went into the beauty industry. So I had 6 beauty salons and day spas. Taught myself. I had no background in that. and my wife and I taught ourselves about the beauty industry. So for a long time there, I could talk to any woman on earth as an equal about nails, about waxing, about hygiene, about a whole banner of things, makeup, dermabrasion. So that was really good grounding for us. Love running that business.
Could I do a follow-up specifically for men? What are the top 3 tips of skincare for men?
Oh, what, the 3 top brands?
Top 3 tips.
Top 3 tips. I think moisturise, and moisturise. Try not to drink too much alcohol and drink plenty of water. Men are fairly lucky. I think men age differently from women. We're not all the same, but men generally age differently from women. We're very fortunate. We don't age we tend to hold our age pretty well until a point, and then we fall off the cliff.
Yeah.
Men age very differently than women after about 70, and I think women maintain their beauty much longer than men tend to do. But we're very involved in the beauty industry. I used to fly to Paris every year, travel the world, going to beauty expos and shows. It was a great business to be in, but that was quite some time ago now.
City of Canning is fairly diverse in terms of the population you have. And City of Stirling is also one of the more diverse in terms of the people who are living there. And as a police officer, which gave you the idea to talk to everybody in the town, that communication skills and the dynamics and reading the room, those skill set. And while you were considering to run for the mayor, how did you understand your constituents better during the process of running?
Oh, I think that's a pretty simple thing, isn't it? When you've lived in a community your whole life, and I pretty much lived in the city of Canning my whole life, I mean, I saw a change, didn't I? I mean, look at me. I'm a white Australian male in his 60s, and I've seen a massive change in Australia over that period of time. But you have to accept the changes in the world. And I have unreservedly, I love the fact that Canning is probably the most multicultural community in Western Australia. We're home to the Indian Society of Western Australia. We're home to the Korean Society of Western Australia. Chunghwa, the peak body for people of Chinese heritage. Yeah. They're about to build a $12 million headquarters here in the city of Canning. We are the home of so many people who've chosen the city of Canning as their home. And I never forget that, because it's a choice, isn't it? You don't have to live in the city of Canning, but people are choosing the city of Canning. So, my role is to make them feel welcome. And we call ourselves a welcoming and thriving community. I think we've got the thriving bit right. We're doing really well economically, and we're a terrific place to live. But on the welcoming bit, I think that's really important, isn't it? I have the privilege of being a mayor where my role includes citizenship ceremonies. So I swear in more than 1,000 people every year. So over the term of, I'm now in my 7th year as mayor, so I've had the opportunity to swear in a lot of new Australians, and a lot of new citizens. And it's very hard for me to go anywhere without having someone, a migrant, coming up to me saying, "Oh, do you remember me?" Sorry, I don't. But you were the one that held my citizenship ceremony, and they showed me their phone and goes, "Here's a photo of us together." And I go, "Okay, great, that's fantastic for me." I love that part of my role. Yeah.
And on an ongoing basis, because what does it entails to keep your ear to the ground? How do you listen deeply, and how do you understand and be empathetic to your communities, and with those changes happening and evolving needs and demands of your communities? How do you do that?
Listening. So this morning, I told you earlier, I played tennis this morning. The tennis club's got 450 members. So, I don't just go there to play tennis. I go there to listen to people because they're talking about their lives. And I think if you can engage on that level, that grassroots level in the community, whether it's attending events at the Indian community or the Chinese community or the local football club or tennis club, my role is to listen. I can talk about myself all day, but that doesn't achieve anything. So I think you need to sit back, and good leadership's about listening. But then, listening is one thing. Then you have to actually respond. There's no point listening and taking things in if you don't at any point transfer that into knowledge. You have to actually take what you have received through sitting patiently and asking questions. And I think probably my previous role as a police officer gives me the ability to read the room and also ask the right questions. So I can extract answers to problems that I've got to find out how people are feeling. And so that helps me when we're making decisions and conducting advocacy around things that can change people's lives.
Because as you use the word multicultural as the most diverse within the state of WA, how do you create a society or a city or a council thrive and create that cohesion, social cohesion among the communities when you have such a diverse people and a diverse value sets each community bring to the table?
Well, I think the first thing you do as a mayor is try really hard to model a council that's reflective of its community. So when I first got onto council in 2015, we had a very different council. I was one of the youngest on our council, and I was in my mid-50s. We had lots of, the whole council were white Australians, I think, from memory. And we were not reflective, in my view, of our community. I've worked really hard over the last 6 years to try to actually introduce more migrants onto the community. So up until recently, we had Hardeep Singh on there, the first Indian on our council. I was instrumental in bringing on Shen Sekon, who's actually has an MBA, a young mother of Malaysian birth of Indian heritage. We have Yvonne Rodriguez. She's the Western Australia's first Colombian migrant who's now on our council, Paul Tuchek, the son of Czechoslovakian migrants. So we've worked really hard, and personally, I've worked really hard to try to find people in the community, because I meet a lot of people. And when I find someone that I find incredibly impressive, I'll often ask the question, have you ever thought about coming onto a council, or ever thought nominating for council? And invariably people say no, because it doesn't sit front and centre in people's lives. But as soon as you plant the seed, it starts to train a thought that in all of those people I've just mentioned, it resulted in all of them running for council. And they were individually and collectively outstanding people. And all of them are now on the council. And they make the council a richer place because of their different voices. There's no point having all the same people on council. I'm now the oldest person on the council. I'm only 63. I think I'm a young 63. I feel like a young 63, but I'm the oldest person on council, and I have a really young council. The youngest councillor, I think, is 37, but everybody seems to be between 37 and probably just on 50. Young mothers, young fathers. It's fantastic. It's fantastic for the community. So I've worked really, really hard. At times I've, attracted some criticism because people are saying I'm trying to influence the shape of the council and try to, build a council that will support me and actually do my bidding. That is so completely untrue. Anybody that looks at the voting history of the City of Canning will see that I have got very different thoughts on many things, probably because of my age. And we often vote differently, but we do it respectfully because the people that are now on our council have come from cultures that share values. Just terrific people. So, sometimes we all vote together. Sometimes we vote separately. Sometimes we vote against each other. But it's always in the best interest of our community.
In a way, when you have people coming from different diverse backgrounds and knowledge and value systems, you create that diversity of ideas and problems and solutions both ways. How do you see, because some people who are coming from some communities might use the front facade of they being from that community, but might have some other ulterior motives to present. So how do you have that deeper understanding of those communities? Because I will call the way you're leading is more communal leadership. You are emerging yourself into different communities and then picking up, who you feel is right for and suggesting them to be running for the council. So how do you inculcate that communal mindset? How do you inculcate that the value of community building, the value of leadership from that point of view?
Most of these people are already in the community, so they're already working hard in the community. That's how I get to meet them.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to say something controversial.
Please do.
I hope that there is a time in my lifetime that we can stop talking about multiculturalism, and I can stop as a mayor saying that I lead the most multicultural community in Western Australia, because we're just one community, aren't we? Isn't that the aim? Do you want to feel like a migrant your whole life?
No.
You want to feel like you're part of Australian society, that you're welcome here, that you're just an Aussie just like me. There should be no difference between you and I. But if we keep talking about being a multicultural community, we're putting a label on something that shouldn't be labelled. If you're an Australian citizen, there's no difference between you and I. And that's what the Act says. So we've got to, in my view, I hope we get to a point where we can drop the label and I can just talk about my community. Not my multicultural community, just my community.
Perfect.
That's it. Controversial?
No, I think that's very fairly logical for me. From a point of view of many people who would, because you're looking for something negative, you will find something negative. You're looking for something positive, you will find something positive. And I don't know why it would be coming that scenario when people, or I think we would aim for one community and one mindset, and not mindset, but one value system or broader value system, more acceptable. And generally, I think all cultures land onto the same value system in a way. It's the lazy politics of division. It's the hard politics is to bring people together. So bring them, make them one is more difficult than divide them into small bits. Yeah. And there are people who are doing it on a regular basis because that's their bread and butter. They don't need too many votes to be in power. And how do you see that representative democracy playing at a council level, which you have done in a way, but from a nation point of view?
Well, we talked earlier off camera about compulsory voting in local government.
Yeah.
So for people that don't know, at the moment, it's not compulsory voting. Western Australia is the only state in Australia. I think South Australia might be thinking about it, but other than South Australia, we're the only state that does not have compulsory voting. Now, there's pros and cons for that. As a mayor, we only had about 30% of voters turned out. It's not a lot of people, is it? Huge waste of money. We printed a ballot paper at great expense, and we had it posted and hand-delivered to every elector in the district at great expense. But 70% of them went in the waste. What a waste of money for a start. But it also means that people like myself are being voted in with a very small margin. We think that I think that I'm the mayor and people think everybody knows who you are. The reality is only 30% of the whole population voted, and only half of the 30% voted for me. You only need 50% to win. So once you get past 50%, so we're working on very small margins. I'm not sure that's a good thing. It also means that it can be easily manipulated because the numbers are so small. So small interest groups can influence the vote and take over councils or dominate councils incrementally over time by running candidates and piling on. So whether it's a multicultural group, a religious group, a political party, whatever it is, if they decide to pile on and bring their numbers, in many local governments, you can win a seat on the council with less than 1,000 votes. Not a lot of votes.
No.
So it's not hard to find 1,000 people if you're part of a big organisation, a big community group. So if people, and what we don't need is people coming on one single issue. So when people come on, you have save the forest or save the ocean or save the river or save something. And so they pile on, they get all their numbers on, they bring a person on the council. That person's not really, in my experience, those people are not generally interested in all of the issues of council. They've got a myopic view of that one issue. We need people on a council that have broad views on governing the whole community on all issues, whether it's about grant funding for community groups, around the construction of roads, the strategic planning of community centres, the establishment of libraries, all of those things collectively. But if you really only have one interest, and that's about environment, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if that's your only interest, I'm not certain that's you're the best person to be on a governing body because our role is so broad. You add a voice, of course, you might have a difference of opinion. But I think that's the worry, that we end up with a group of a governing body made up of individuals that have a very small focus on certain subjects. Hard to bring that together as a collective view.
Typically, it's seen that political parties do not have influence in the council elections, but more recently, it's been observed that many political parties will have their own people standing, and as council elections or council bodies are good breeding ground for state politics and vice versa for federal politics as well. How do you run your campaign, and how do you have you observed other campaigns being run on a party platform or an individual platform?
There's very little party politics in local government in Western Australia. In all the other states in Australia, they are completely political. So a person like myself would be running as a Liberal or Labor mayor, and I would call myself that. So we would even be a Labor council or a Liberal council or a Greens council. Everybody runs with a political party behind them. That's the unique position of Western Australia, where we are still independent people, independent of party politics. But then is that really true? Everybody has a bias, don't they?
You're right.
I don't think anybody doesn't have a bias. Whether you vote, you might not tell your friends and families, but you may vote for the Greens or One Nation or the Labor Party or Liberal, whoever it is. They generally are our party. You might stray a little bit, but we do have a bias. So there is always politics in there somewhere. In the last couple of years, I've certainly seen a little bit of a change. There has been more political interference in local government. At this last election in 2023, the WA Socialist Party overtly ran, I think, 8 or 9 candidates across Western Australia, and the ballot papers in local government are very prescriptive. So you get to read the profile of each person. It's a bit unique. It's actually a good idea. But they started off with, my name is, Joe Blow, and I'm a member of the WA Socialist Party, and I'm going to bring an end to the slaughter in, Gaza Strip, and I'm going to solve all the... And it was like something we hadn't actually seen before, that level of overt political overture. And I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't occur, but it would be really hard for the Liberal Party, the Labor Party or the Greens to sit back and see that has already happened and maybe now think, okay, the floodgates are open.
I think the majors all have influence in the state council, because you can see, when you see the volunteers, you can tell that volunteers of that candidate are either Liberal leaning or Labour leaning or Greens. You can see which party is supporting them, not directly, in the face, but you can read through the lines.
You can. I think it's up to state government to probably decide, because the Local Government Act is a statute of the state government. I mean, it exists because of the state government. It's up to the state government probably to decide exactly where they want to go with this. I mean, if they wish the politics to dominate local government as well, I'm not certain that that's going to be an advantage to any political group. But I think that they will guide where we are. It's a very simple process, isn't it? I mean, they control the Electoral Act. The state government can actually determine that candidates must declare if they are a member of a political party. I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't. I'm just saying that they can if they wanted to. If the appetite is there to make it less political or more political, those are the levers that can be pulled easily by the state government. So they control the narrative here. It's up to them to decide. People are worried that if we have compulsory voting, it will automatically become more political. That will probably happen, but I think it was going to happen anyway.
Because if you want to do compulsory voting or everybody votes, you need to have more resources, more volunteers, more financial muscle behind it. You need to do more fundraisers to run a campaign which is at least 3 times larger than the typical one.
So do they cap it? So in the eastern states, the state government has capped, I think, donations and campaign funds. So, mayors can only spend so much on a campaign, and it all has to be transparent and declared. There's actually more legislation around local government than there is for state government. I mean, councillors and mayors are under far more scrutiny than state government are. I mean, our code of conduct is so strict. In a meeting, if I basically raise my eyebrows in any way and cause any detriment, if I say a word out of place, I can have an official complaint made about me and be hauled before the inspectorate. That doesn't happen in state government, so we can be dismissed if we miss a couple of meetings. It doesn't happen in the state government, even though we're elected officials. There are all sorts of legislative requirements and reporting requirements placed on councillors and mayors that don't exist in state government. It's really bureaucratic and really difficult at some times to navigate your way through it.
As a mayor of a council, what kind of levers do you have to create more commercial or business supporting environment or ecosystem so that small businesses could thrive and survive in this environment?
So we do have a role to play, but of course you have the Small Business Corporation, which is a state government entity. The state government has a role there economically. We run our local economy. So the City of Canning has two of the largest industrial estates in Western Australia, premier industrial estates in Welshpool and also Canning Vale. Some of the biggest companies in Australia are in there. So we're incredibly fortunate, but we work really hard to promote them. But we're really connectors. So we try to connect those businesses together and learn how we can support them. But the reality is we can't support them very much, not as a council. But it's of great benefit to the community and also to the region if we can actually encourage those people to employ more people, to invest more heavily. Those are the things that we hope to do by just showing our support. So one of our KPIs for our CEO is that he must go out with the mayor and meet 12 businesses every year. And it doesn't sound like a lot of businesses, but to actually sit down with a board of directors or a CEO and learn more about a business we didn't really know about previously is really powerful. We've got more than 10,000 businesses in the City of Canning, 10,000. Small businesses, but lots of big businesses. Our role is to get out there and connect those businesses together. We had a terrific business breakfast just recently. We had 12 consulate generals at a consul general's reception that I held a little while ago. And the reason behind that was just to promote the City of Canning as a place to invest and a place to direct business, especially government business from overseas. So we do what we can to promote ourselves as an economic powerhouse and bring people to Canning so they understand who we are and what can be achieved and where the opportunities lie in the City of Canning.
And how do you support the supply of housing within your council? What are the levers do you pull as a council to make sure that you keep on pushing more demand or supply, or what kind of levers do you control and pull?
So the supply of housing is totally within the remit of the state government. Local government has almost nothing to do with that. So the narrative pushed by some people has been that local government needs to play its role. We have a role to play. It's about that big. This is state government, not us. And I think it's been unfair. We have been unfairly criticised at times. To give you an example, so the City of Canning is an incredibly pragmatic council. We've been a council for 150 years. So as far as planning goes, we know what our responsibilities are. We do everything we can to stimulate the growth of that housing sector. To give an example, recently I sit on the MIDAP, which is the Metro Inner Development Assessment Panel. And that has been criticised at times. And I guess, John Carey, the housing minister, has at times criticised the local government sector for holding back supply or not playing its role. And I guess at times he's also had some reason to do that. But the City of Canning recently, on a panel I sat on, we refused an application for a big development near the Queen's Park train station. The reason we refused it was because they were underdeveloping the site. They wanted to build it at 2 and 3 stories. We wanted to build it at 6 and 7 stories. We wanted greater density in there. How rare is that for a local government in the current climate to be saying, we want more density, not less density? So our residents are saying they would like to see less density, but we are really genuine about playing our role, especially along that rail corridor, to do what other countries have done, like Singapore. I'll be over there shortly, but to see what they've done in Singapore along the rail corridor and build, communities, transport-orientated developments that will actually allow people to move quickly up and down the rail line from the city into other industrial centres. That's where we need to go. So we are playing our role, but we're a built-out council. We don't have a lot of greenfields. Most of our council is already built out. So the only development we have is for people developing their own properties, dividing a big block of land into 2 or 3 smaller properties.
Could you also delve a bit more on so when people talk about that housing supply is one of the bottleneck is local council, and majority of the councils are in the population lives in the metro area, and if they don't have that much power to play, just beyond asking them to subdivide their block of land. So how does the narrative fits in the supply side of it, and how can people understand more the nuance of the argument rather than the broad paintbrushing? Well,
I always encourage, in the first instance, I always encourage people to talk to our officers of the City of Canning. And they should keep an eye on their own councils too, by the way. The City of Canning recently upcoded a lot of land up along Albany Highway through Bentley and St James, upcoded it to R160 and R100, which allows greater density. We've done that also in our city centre in Cannington. So people that were landowners in there that had a block of land previously zoned R20 now have unlimited ability almost unlimited ability to develop at a much higher density and also create some wealth, but releasing houses back onto the market. So, long term, I think for the City of Canning and other councils, we have to understand where our role is. But you're absolutely right. Your question was spot on. We don't have a lot of levers to pull. We are doing what we can. But being resistant in this market and resisting the state government's bidding has no purpose. We all have a role to play here to provide to supply the housing market that we need. And it's not about stifling a demand or creating more demand. We're just trying to keep up with what we have, knowing that it takes so long to bring that supply online. Houses are still taking up to 18 months to build. So decisions made today around planning are taking 2 years to reach fruition. So we have to be really realistic about, what it is we want to see and where we want to see it.
The population is aging very fast, and there's a large chunk of population aging. How do you make sure that people have communities within the communities for elderly to create within the planning process to make sure that you include elderly Australians and community members within those communities?
Well, that's the biggest key point in that is ageing in place. So ageing in place is that if I've lived my whole life in Thornley, I've lived my whole life in Padbury, or I've lived my whole life in the suburb of Willetton, as you get older, familiarity is far more important than anything else. Social isolation is what kills people in the end, I think. People feel lost and they don't feel like their life is secure anymore. So forcing people as they get older to move out of an area they've lived most of their life and force them into an area because of either price or because there's no facilities in the area in which they lived is a real problem for planners. We have to be building more aged care. We need to be releasing more aged care places into places so that people can age in place. So Rossmoyne, for instance, which is in the City of Canning, is a really lovely suburb. But for a long time there, we had insufficient number of aged care rooms for people to move into. We now have Rossmoyne Waters. Now, Rossmoyne Waters was built by a church group, and I won't name them, but it's a fantastic high-end product because you have to have an offering for everybody.
Yeah.
But they've released, many homes onto that market there, which is allowing that ageing population of Riverton, Rossmoyne and Shelley to stay living in the area in which they've lived their whole life.
Yeah.
That's the aim. I would hate to see people having to live the city they've lived in and end up in, if you've lived north of the river or here in, Welshpool, Redcliffe, around this area, end up in Gosnells or Thornley at an age of 80, not knowing where you are in the morning and feeling really disrupted and disturbed. I don't think that's where we go. So the City of Canning, like most local governments, divested from aged care years ago.
Yeah.
So a lot of aged care in Western Australia was run by local government.
Yeah.
The federal government introduced so much red tape and made it so hard to comply that you really now must be a specialist provider, because it's just too hard to comply lawfully with what is required to run aged care. And then, of course, they had the aged care it was the inquiry into aged care.
Royal Commission.
It was, and that provided a lot of reference points for local government, but it also, I think, scared the bejeebies out of local government. And for those few local governments still running aged care, it made them understand that it's such a complex sector to be in that a lot of the last of them have now divested, which means that somebody has to fill that void. Now, if there's no profit in there, you're not going to find the private sector move into it. So does the state government or federal government move back in? I'm not sure, but we need to be providing more places, don't we? But then,
You're right.
But then we also have to have more staff. Where do you find the people to look after, as we've got an ageing population?
Yeah.
How do you find the people to actually look after that older population? So the last thing you need is 70-year-old workers looking after 85-year-old people in these homes. So everybody is ageing. It's a real worry going forward. We need to... I don't know what we need to do. I don't have any answers there, but one thing we're trying to do in the City of Canning is to bring back younger families into the area. I mean, we're an ageing population, an older council. We're trying to return our area to what it used to be 50 years ago, full of younger people. You can only do that if you're planning for the future.
Yeah. In terms of the leadership style, I just want you to share a bit more of your views that how has your leadership formulated? What are the things you believe in as a leader, and what's the style you always lean on to while interacting with people at all levels?
Oh, I think for me, I've never thought of myself as a politician. And doing the right thing, regardless of how popular the decision was, has always been my first port of call. So if I was not elected in a few years' time, but I knew that everything I had done I did for the right reason, I would happily leave. No problem at all. I'm not a populist. I'm not going to make decisions trying to win votes. I think that's a real false economy, isn't it? 5 years ago, the City of Canning, longer than that, about 6 years ago, the City of Canning was in a relatively precarious financial position. How we reached that is, of no real... no need to discuss all that, but what we did was buckle down and make some really tough decisions. And those decisions included, increasing the rates, not by a lot, incrementally, but at a sensible level. And it meant paying down debt. And we just had to stop building new things and investing money unwisely. And over time, we've got back to an extraordinary level now where our financial health indicator, which had been sitting in the low 60s, so the top score you're looking for is 100, we will reach 100 this year. And we've been sitting in the 90s for the last couple of years. We've done an extraordinary job turning it around. So, yeah, in my view, the difference between a federal politician, a state politician and a local government should be that mayors generally shouldn't be leading by popularity. That is just a race to the bottom. If you're trying to win hearts and minds, make hard decisions, but put your hand on your heart and explain to people why you've actually done it. And I think whilst some people, many people in some cases might not be happy, they will be respectful of you that you made the right decision. The long-term benefits will be understood over time. And I think that's how you gain the respect of a community. So I've never shied away from having a strong opinion. But when you have a strong opinion, you get strong reactions, don't you? So I'm always ready for those strong reactions, but it's never stopped me from having a strong opinion. And as I said, the reason why I've never gone into politics, I don't want to bend the knee to anybody. You know, I can come out with an opinion of my own and use my own integrity and the platform I've been given. How lucky am I to have a platform as a mayor where I can come out in the media if I feel like it and have an opinion that would generally be published, promoted, you know, and I can start a conversation that a lot of other people can't start. So I've always understood and been respectful of that, but that's the most powerful thing for me is, you know, have an opinion, make tough decisions, don't bend the knee.
Good on you on that one. And that's fairly comfortable and privileged position and with a responsibility for sure. In conclusion, I want you to share just a few more things to understand communication for people who are thinking of putting their hand up to be a councillor or running for politics or to be putting your hand up for the mayor. What things they should be considering before they put their hand up?
Well, first of all, we don't want anyone to put their hand up for the mayor, okay? We've got the mayor, we're okay there. You know, what I want people to think about if they're thinking about coming into local government is do it for the right reason. We're grassroots. You don't get paid a lot to be in local government. If you're doing it to build your profile, you're doing it for completely the wrong reasons. If you're doing it because you've got a massive ego and you want to see yourself on social media getting liked up, you're doing it for the wrong reason. If you're doing it because you want to have a career in politics and you're using it as a stepping stone, you're doing it for all the wrong reason. If you want to get in there because you want to make great decisions around where the funding goes for our local community groups, if you want to play a role in distributing our $200 million budget to make sure that there's a fair distribution of wealth across the city, if you want to do good for people in the community in which you live, that's why you should do it. That's the only reason. So those are the things I'd ask people to think about. You know, we littered at the moment with, I think, and this will sound like a criticism, take it as you will, but local government at the moment is littered with wannabe politicians, and they don't often make very good councillors. So, you know, my background, I had been involved in community groups my whole life. So apart from being a policeman, you know, I'd been on the committee at the Canning Vale Football Club. I was a coach there for 8 years. I was a nationally accredited basketball umpire, and I umpired at Willetton Stadium. And I played tennis at Blue Gum Park Tennis Club. I was on the board of directors at Blue Gum Tennis Club. Everywhere I've been, I've involved myself in that committee or that community. And so I've always felt like, you know, it was maybe a natural progression for me to do, you know, if I wanted to do more, I had to actually be more. So that seemed to me to be a natural progression onto a council. And then when I became a councillor and I could see how much good I could do, I thought, well, wow, how much more could I do if I happened to be the mayor and was able to drive policy and influence decisions and try to create a really cohesive group of councillors. And that's what we've achieved. Because people that know our history know that the City of Canning was dismissed by the state government in 2013. Now, we're only in 2026 now. So it was a really recent history. Our council was dysfunctional and sacked by the government. And it was only, I think, 15 years before that, we were dysfunctional and sacked by the government. I've spent 10 years of my life rebuilding our reputation. And I think people now understand how hard that's been. But I think we've now become a council that is respected and our standing in the local government sector has been restored. It's for others to break it. I won't be doing anything to harm our reputation whilst I'm in the chair. I'll be continuing to build a really strong, collaborative, cohesive, functioning local government. And I hope that's what I pass on when at some stage I'm either defeated or I choose to step down. Hopefully the latter.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks a lot for your time today.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks for the invitation. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.